back to my channel. Today, we are going to be checking out film theory Shrek's donkey was secretly a human, and this is by the Shrek movie. And this is like a little old, but I'm just really interested into like movies and stuff like that, and like all these theories and stuff. So I'm really excited to check this out. But don't forget, if you're new to this channel, hit that like button and subscribe. But I'm talking, we're gonna dive in. So here we go. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get started. Oh yeah, there's Arthur.
True love's kiss. I'm Henry, you knave! Kissing of sleeping women is a federal offense. But she's my one true love. She'll only be walking my true love's kiss. Tell it to the judge, you creep.
Oh.
Watch The Crown. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory. The show that tells your favorite bedtime stories.
It's about Shrek.
Today we're diving back into the Shrek franchise because, well, honestly, I wanted to do something on an animated movie but didn't really feel like writing another prediction theory for Frozen 2. And Shrek is, well, he's always relevant.
Maybe we should do one for Frozen 3.
And I've been thinking about the franchise a lot, thanks in large part to the excellent analysis videos on the channel Shea Frillis Productions, which, if you've never heard of, does awesome videos analyzing all sorts of classic animated movies.
Alright, I'll make sure to check that out.
Later. So what else is there to say about Shrek nearly 20 years after it was first released? Well,
and they're coming out with a fifth one.
Solution behind the mysterious origins of its most iconic character. I mean, as most of you know, the Shrek universe is chock full of fairy tale and nursery rhyme characters who, when the movie begins, are getting rounded up and turned in for a reward. All the big name fairy tale characters are there. 7 dwarves, the 3 bears, Tinkerbell, Pinocchio, a talking donkey, 3 blind mice, but in the words of Sesame Street,
but one of these things just doesn't belong.
A talking donkey? Have you ever really stopped to think about that? I mean, all these other fairy tale characters are super famous.
I'm just now realizing that the dwarves from Snow White were in there, because I was not paying attention.
Ogres and princesses trapped in towers are tropes from countless other fairy tales.
Yep, the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the
Where
West.
is he from? That, my loyal theorists, is the question that we explore today. What is the origin of Shrek's donkey? Because I think I have an answer. One that is provable beyond a reasonable doubt. And let's just say that the conclusion to this one is not giving us a happy ever after. If you search through fairy tale lore, there's
I hope Shrek 5 gives a happily ever after.
Talking donkey to note. The titular character in the Brothers Grimm fairy tale, the donkey. It's not one that most people know, but basically it goes a little something like this. A rich king and queen are upset that they can't have a son. But then one day, God blesses the couple and she suddenly gives birth to a donkey. She wants to kill it because, you know, donkey baby. But the king refuses, and so the couple raise it as their son. So we have ourselves a donkey who learns to speak and have manners. He even teaches himself how to play music. And this is starting to sound a lot like our donkey from Shrek, right? He speaks English, he sings all the time, he can have decent enough table manners when he needs to, and is one
That's why when he was singing, Shrek told him to stop singing. I remember that scene.
Royal backstory.
Who knows where this Farquaad guy is? Oh, I do. I know where he is. Does anyone else?
That's not all.
I heard like a lot of people say that Lord Farquaad looks like Snow White.
This in as our donkey. Quote, the young lordling once went out walking full of thought and came to a well. He looked into it and in the mirror clear water saw his donkey's form. He was so distressed about it that he went out into the wide world and only took with him one faithful companion. One faithful traveling companion. It's an
Oh,
especially
wow.
weird detail for this fairy tale to include, because that is all we ever hear about this other mysterious character. But using context clues, we can clearly identify this as someone who's a loner and is also comfortable traveling with a donkey. So that pretty much points to someone like Shrek, right? This is
Yeah.
absolutely the origin story for our talking donkey, isn't it? It would be until you get to the big twist at the end of the story. You see, the donkey and his companion go to another kingdom and make friends with the king, who marries his daughter off to the donkey because, you know, the donkey is depressed. You know, times were different back then, okay? Anyway, just as the donkey and his bride are about to, you know, celebrate their marriage night, the donkey takes his skin off to reveal himself to be a real boy. King doesn't believe it, so the next night he sneaks into his daughter's room and watches the proceedings. There's a lot of reasons you weren't told this one at story time at night, or reasons why people don't choose to adapt Grimm's fairy tales accurately. Anyway, suffice it to say, the king is impressed by what he sees. All the old people in the story die, and the donkey gets himself a wife and 2 kingdoms. But you can start to see our problem as far as this theory is concerned, right? The donkey in the fairy tale isn't a real donkey. It's just a human disguised inside of a donkey's skin. But one glance at Donkey
I don't know
Dragon's
how,
offspring
but
and Shrek the Third is all the proof we need that Shrek's donkey is 100% donkey and 0% human. Those are dronkies and dongins, no doubt.
But how
about it.
were
So
his
Grimm's donkey out of
children
the picture,
mixed
we're
with
back
dragon
to
and
square one,
donkey?
which
I don't
honestly
get it.
kinda sucks because that would have been the best title and thumbnail ever.
If
Which
he was a
means
human.
return to the drawing board. So we know Donkey is a fairy tale character, otherwise he wouldn't be getting rounded up with all the others or worth any sort of reward. So is he one just made up for the purposes of these movies, or could there be another explanation for what's really going on here? Well, 2 years ago, in a now deleted Reddit post, a user named Yeremy V proposed a different possibility. That Donkey did indeed hail from a fairy tale. In fact, one that is far more popular than Grimm's The Donkey ever was. Could Donkey be one of the kidnapped boys from Pinocchio? Is it possible that Donkey started as a human child, was stolen off of the street and shipped off to Pleasure Island, where he, like so many others before him, would transform into a donkey and eventually be sold off into slavery? Now, admittedly, that's a pretty dark backstory for a main character in a PG-rated franchise about an ogre who farts.
As a theory, this would kind of make sense, though, in my opinion.
Full of celebrity cameos from history's most iconic fairy tales, we would spend so much time with an otherwise out-of-place talking donkey. And the rationale here doesn't just boil down to throwing up our arms and saying, well, they're practically the only other fairy tale donkeys of note, so he must be one of them. The clues pointing towards a Shrek-Pinocchio crossover are...
Ogres are like onions. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. You get it.
So let's
I remember that scene.
First, let's look at what few details we can actually learn about Donkey's backstory based on some of the things he says throughout the movies. He says this in Shrek the Third.
I'm really starting to feel nauseous from memories of wedges and swirlies.
As Puss in Boots points out moments later, donkeys don't wear clothes. So this would suggest that Donkey was a human at some point in his life, specifically when he was a child. How else would he have been given a wedgie? Donkeys don't wear clothes, but human children absolutely do. Or at least they're supposed to. No screaming naked babies around here. Later on in that same movie, Donkey and Puss swap bodies and we get ourselves this short conversation.
But they were made in Madrid by the finest... Oh, you learn to control that.
This seems
I
to
remember
suggest
that.
Donkey learned to talk as a donkey later in life. I mean, after all,
I wonder
you
what's gonna
remember
happen in
what it's
Shrek
like
5.
learning to
I don't
talk as a
know.
baby. If Donkey was a school-aged boy who got himself turned into a donkey on Pleasure Island,
What if in
he
Shrek
would
5
remember
he
how
would
hard it was to
be a
talk
human?
normally
I feel like that
following
might
his
happen in
transformation.
Shrek
And how when
5.
it first happened, his
Because I remember in
normal
Shrek
modes of
2,
speech
Shrek
started
and
getting
Fiona,
interrupted by
they were
uncontrollable
humans.
donkey
So
brains.
it's a possible chance
And
that
wouldn't
he
you know
might.
it, that's not just me speculating here. It's exactly what we see happen in Pinocchio. When we watch Lampwick transform on Pleasure Island, we see 2 key things. One, that he is indeed able to continue speaking like a human despite being fully transformed into a donkey. And 2, his normal speech starts to get interrupted with donkey noises.
Hey, you laugh like a donkey. Did that come out of me?
In fact, based on these scenes, we know one additional detail here. Boys who are transformed into donkeys but still able to talk fluently are sent back to Pleasure Island for a little bit longer until they fully lose that ability.
And what might your name be?
Alexander.
So you can talk.
Yes, sir. I want to go home to my mama.
Oh, I remember that scene. I thought that was kind of
This
sad.
scene also also demonstrates another key feature of how the donkeys get treated on Pleasure Island. They're allowed to keep their clothes until they're ready to be sold off to the salt mines. Here, we see a child who's gone full donkey get stripped of his clothes by the coachman and sent to the crates, whereas Alexander, our boy from earlier, is allowed to stay dressed. Now, this is important because Donkey in Shrek clearly has memories of being both a donkey and wearing clothes.
You better run, you little punk, no goodness, because the days of little dumpy draws are over.
This donkey's still allowed to wear clothes detail not only opens up the possibility of him getting called Donkey Dumpy Drawers, we know that Pleasure Island is specifically full of bullies. The boys are all trapped there because they misbehave. So another half-turned child making fun of Donkey for being scared and soiling his donkey drawers? Totally within the realm of possibility here. And lastly, it probably goes without saying, but it's definitely worth pointing out, it's clearly established that both Pinocchio and Shrek share the same universe.
I mean, considering him being in the film.
Standing behind Pinocchio in line. Could this be DreamWorks' way of slyly suggesting that the two characters are linked? Maybe, maybe not.
Possible
If nothing else,
chance.
it verifies that Shrek pulls from the Pinocchio lore, so it would make perfect sense for a Pleasure Island donkey to be walking around somewhere in this world. So the Pleasure Island theory gives us a source for donkeys who wear clothes, used to be human, and have learned to talk as donkeys. All of which line up with the few small details that donkeys let slip about his own past throughout these movies. But I just wish that there was something more, like one final clinching piece of evidence. Something that's a little less lore-based and a little bit more, I don't know, design-based, scientific. Brain blast! I got it! Look at their species. Donkey appears to be the exact same breed of donkey as the boys turned donkey in Pinocchio. Look at this! In Pinocchio, it seems like the Pleasure Island boys turn into one of two types of donkeys. Either all brown or all gray. No color at the tips of the ears, a lighter color along their stomach, and a little tuft of either black or brown hair on their head and down into their neck. And now look at Donkey in Shrek. Same design.
It's
gray,
the same one.
All ears with no color at the tips, a lighter color of gray along his stomach, and a little tuft of black hair on his head.
The synchronization between these two is kind of starting to make sense.
There are over 140 different donkey breeds, and these breeds all have very different hair lengths, very different hair colors, and very distinct markings. So the fact that Donkey is matching up to the exact type that we see coming out of Pleasure Island feels like the smoking gun that we were missing before. So at this point, I have little choice but to stamp this theory as Matt Pat certified fresh. Really, considering all this evidence, how could Donkey not be a now grown boy from Pleasure Island? The theory has an answer for pretty much everything we know about the character. We've established 1, that it make him one of the very few famous fairy tale donkeys. 2, that he was once human. 3, wore clothes as a donkey.
I remember in the second one when he was a horse, he was the white horse.
5, was bullied in donkey form. 6, comes from a lore that also exists in Shrek. And 7, just so happens to be the exact species of donkey coming out of Pleasure Island. There is simply no other fairy tale or nursery rhyme out there that covers the spread the way the Pleasure Island theory does. Not even close. But if this is true, which it certainly seems to be, it opens up one very dark reality about Donkey, his personality, and what he wants to keep hidden about his past. Shortly after that Shrek the Third clip I played earlier, we get ourselves these lines where it seems like Donkey admits to his tragic origin story.
When you are clearly not aware of the underpants. Let's just say some things are better left unsaid and leave it at that.
What first appears to be a joke about donkeys wearing underwear, according to this theory, actually becomes Donkey not wanting to address the horrific way he became a donkey in the first place. Some things are better left unsaid. He doesn't want to talk about his trauma, which is totally fine until you consider the timeline of events. Pinocchio's story begins with him as a lifeless toy.
That kind of would
It's
make
called
sense.
Stage 1. He then becomes a living toy, which we'll call Stage 2. Stage 3 is when he becomes a partial donkey living toy for a while, before finally entering Stage 4 at the end of the movie when he's turned into a fully grown human boy. Now, throughout the Shrek movies, Pinocchio appears exclusively in
as
his
a puppet.
Stage 2 living toy form. Meaning, the events depicted in Shrek occur
Except that
after
part in
Pinocchio's
Shrek
life,
2 when he was like, I'm a real boy, when Fairy
Pleasure
Godmother
Island,
turned him
becomes
into a real
weird
boy.
partial donkey creature. So in the Shrek films, Pinocchio has no idea that Pleasure
And then he got
Island
turned back into a
exists,
puppet.
but Donkey does. He's already been there. In fact, we know that he managed to escape, like we see in that Alexander clip.
And what might your name be?
Alexander.
So you can talk. Think of that. He can still talk.
We know Donkey donkey
Oh,
was
that
turned,
scene
but
was
hasn't gone
sad.
full donkey yet, like all the other kids that are being shipped off to the salt mines. Meaning that he managed to escape before that happened. The long and short of what I'm saying here is that Donkey knows full well that the evil Pleasure Island scheme of kidnapping boys and selling them as donkeys into the salt mines is in full swing, even as the events of Shrek are taking place. The criminals running the Pleasure Island scheme are very careful not to ship off any boys turned donkeys off the island until they can no longer talk, because donkeys who can talk could feasibly tell people on the mainland about their criminal enterprise and shut the whole thing down. But here we have ourselves Donkey, the lone fairy tale creature who could end all the suffering of so many boys. But does Donkey step up to the challenge of being a hero? Does he tell anyone about the ongoing horrors of Pleasure Island? Does he do anything to stop these atrocities?
Let's just say some things are better left unsaid and leave it at that.
Yeah, I remember that
Instead, he
scene.
just follows Shrek around for a few movies, living it up, banging dragons.
I mean, that is his best friend.
Turned into a donkey
I remember
because
that part.
presumably he was a bad kid. It seems like he hasn't improved with age. Orphaned boys are getting kidnapped and sold off by the boatload, and Donkey is letting it happen. Does this make Donkey a complete ass? I don't know, but in the end, there's definitely blood on Donkey's hands. Or, I suppose, hooves. But, hey, that's just a theory.
I mean, it's a theory. It's not like it's real.
And if you want to see more Shrek, I suggest you watch our other video on Shrek's deadly farts. There is an actual scientific explanation for why his farts are so dangerous. We go into that on the video to the left.
I remember.
Or you know what? Do me a favor
He
and
said
check out
he
that
did
channel I
mention
mentioned
that.
earlier, Shape Frillis Productions. His analyses of classic animated movies coming from Disney and Pixar. He's incredibly insightful in his observations and is just funny to boot.
It's not the best, but it's my favorite. Which is a pretty impressive feat, considering how generic the story is.
I first discovered him through his videos on Shrek, and I've been watching him ever since.
But I don't think anyone ever takes a look at it and says, oh yeah, now that's one of the greatest sequels in
Mamma
cinematic
mia.
history. Why am I Luigi?
He's doing great work out there. He's only got 500,000 subscribers. Go out, show him some love, give him some of that valuable watch time that YouTube cherishes so much, and tell him Mad Pat sent you. And Shape Frillis, if at some point you want to do something together, let me know. I would love to talk to you about that. You're doing great work out there, man. Hopefully this gets you a bit more attention. So anyway, that's it for today. I need to start working on some scary theories for October. I'll see you then.
Don't ruin their childhood. So that was it for this video, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, this theory was actually, like, at first had me thinking, like, how would this happen and stuff, because like the way he was describing when like he was like born as a human, but he was like a donkey, like he was like half human, half donkey, and I was kind of confused for a minute, because like the way how his kids were, like his kids were mixed with dragon and donkey, and yeah, that part just had me confused, but like it kind of started to make more sense when it was mentioning Pinocchio and Donkey, because like they're like in the same universe, because Donkey was in not Donkey, Pinocchio. When I first saw Shrek, we all know that he was like presented as a puppet, like he was presented as the Pinocchio puppet, and I was wondering like how he got turned into a puppet after watching Pinocchio. I kind of understood, and yeah, this video was just really good. I kind of want to see like them doing like a backstory on Fiona, like seeing like how she was like a human and how she got the ogre curse. Because we know that if Prince Charming kissed Fiona, she would remain human permanently. So when at the end of Shrek, when she turned into an ogre, and as Fiona, like as she was kissed by Shrek, she remained as an ogre permanently. And then we saw in Shrek 2, when they had like the human potions, they turned human, and then Donkey turned into the white shining armor, like the horse. And yeah, this was just a really good video. I really enjoyed this. I kind of want to see like more of this, so I think the next one I would probably check out is the Incredibles. I would definitely check that one out. But yeah, this was just a really good video, and I really enjoyed it. But don't forget, if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.